What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Reffing with the Sappers.
I'm back. Nice to see you.
Yeah, it's been a few
It
weeks.
has been a few weeks.
Yeah. Today we're going to review another game from September 10th. I think I mentioned several episodes ago that day had several games that were lively, and this is another one. This was the 5 o'clock game. I think it was the last one of the day. It was between Granite Bay and Placer United. It got pretty lively. We ended up with a really upset coach, and there was various reports that got filed afterwards. This was a U13 Boys game, so 2011s. Let's get it started. Getting this game started, this was immediately following the game that we reviewed in episode 22 when we had done a U19 Boys game that had a red card for violent conduct. I was still your center referee. Katie was the referee on the far side with the Placer team. We had Amir on this side, who was an excellent referee with us the whole day. Felt like we had a great crew. Let's get this game going. So this game got off to a hot start. There was a goal within the first minute. We're not going to show the goal here, but the green team did score right out of the gate. And then it was another 4 minutes after that before we've got our next decision. So we're in the 5th minute here. The ball is kind of bouncing around here, and we're going to see this green player basically fall down here as this black player comes in and kind of kicks from the side. And you can see me signal for no call. What I really saw here was this black player comes in and Green's kind of trying to handle the ball, and right there, number 30 black toe pokes the ball over, which then causes the ball to go underneath Green's foot, and then he falls over that. So it felt like it was a clean tackle and then some clumsiness over the ball. So it's a good no call, I think. 3 minutes later, we've got a kick here that ended up being a yellow card. We considered a red, but decided to make it a yellow. Here, the ball's kind of bouncing around. We're going to watch this player here in black. So the ball comes over, comes to the screen player, and then right there, black comes in and tries to play the ball. But if I play this in slow motion, the ball's kind of bouncing around here. He comes in trying to get it. He's not trying to hurt this player, but his leg ends up coming up. He really hits him right there in the nether region. Very unfortunate for him. But he didn't get the cleats in there, and I didn't think he was trying to kick the kid. I think the ball had bounced up to that kind of level. I felt like he was genuinely trying to play it, but I definitely thought it was reckless. End up going ahead and granting a yellow card for that, so I go ahead and blow it, come over and immediately give that to him. Is what it is, and it's a correct decision for the foul, and I think the yellow card's also the correct decision. Not more than 30 seconds later, we've got a push here right at the top of the box here. We're going to see balls coming out here. Black's trying to get it. Green gets in position, and then that player just gets frustrated and gives a two-handed shove to this player in the back. Now, that is actually exactly the same player that committed the foul just a moment ago, and I had given the yellow card to. I wasn't prepared in this instance to give him another yellow. Plus, while he did push the player didn't go down. This definitely increased the level in which he was on my radar. I place the ball. I do make a comment to the kid to make sure that he isn't doing that. The other thing I do here is this player runs up, gets immediately in front of the ball. I start talking him off, and I think I actually told him there, hey, look, you can't do that. I'm going to really think about yellow card cautions for that in the future. So go ahead and set that tone early, and we keep going.
Our next decision is going to be an offside call, not made by me, unfortunately. Here's around the moment of decision, and you can see that the green player right here is like one step behind or the defense line when we play it through. We can see that he gets the ball. One thing to note is that offside is judged from when the ball is kicked, not where the player actually gets the ball. And so this player was in an offside position when the ball was kicked, so he still would be able to commit an offside foul if he touches it first, which he does. And so Amir immediately calls that, and we call offside, which is the correct decision.
Yep, that's a good one. Less than a minute later, we had a call that I think I got wrong. We're looking at this black player here and this green player here. We're going to compete for this ball. So as it comes through here, green tries to get position, and this black player gives him a shove right there and really pushes him off of it. This is, I think, that same player again. Now, while this looks very, very obvious from this camera angle, because this camera angle looks directly between them, if you look at where I was standing on the field here, I was looking directly through their back. Basically, I can't see that arm extension from where I'm at because I'm just seeing the back of the black player. So that's why I missed that. It happens. That's why angles are really important. This is one of those situations where these parents are probably sitting here, how did you miss that? Well, from the angle of the sideline, those parents would have had a perfect view, just like this camera does. Whereas where I was on the field, I didn't see the push and thought it could have just been a regular stumble. So anyway, that's a missed call for us, and we'll take the deduction.
Our next decision is going to be another offside call, again, not made by me. Right here is around the moment of decision, and you can see that the player is maybe like 1 foot off. It's really hard to tell from this angle just because the black player is so much closer to us than the actual green player. But it looks like, based off the shadows, that he's offside by like maybe a foot or two. So we call that as offsides, and I think that's the right decision.
Yeah. Several minutes go by before we've got our next call, and the ball's kind of up for grabs on the far side of the field here. Black kicks it up high, and then right there, Green kind of comes in and is about to get it from him. He gets a little bit frustrated, gives him that extra shove out. You can see it causes Green to stumble off the ball. So I go ahead and call that. This player really has that problem with wanting to give that extra push afterwards. So he's definitely on my radar, and I'm definitely watching him. At this point, I'm starting to think about, well, at what point do I think about a persistence call here? But he's already on one yellow. I want to be judicious with that. He's definitely giving a little bit extra as it goes. So this ended up being a pretty chill first half, only 8 decisions throughout the entire first half. In the meantime, Green did go ahead and add on another goal, so it's 2-0 going into halftime here.
Halftime, halftime.
So at halftime, we did our normal debrief where we talked about, what went right, what could go better during the game. I mentioned to my ARs that I really felt like, one, Green was in control of this match, but two, that there was a couple players on black who were giving some extra, getting frustrated, and playing a little bit dirty, giving some late fouls. So to help me watch that away, and let's just kind of keep things under control. So we will see that this game gets a lot more lively in the second half, particularly once the black team begins a comeback. So let's get the game started. About 4 minutes into the second half, we've got a push here where we considered a yellow card, didn't end up giving one, but we're watching the ball kind of go here, and this black player is going to push Green down, right? And just one more time, right there, he pushes him off. Now, at the time, I kind of felt like they got their arms tangled up a little bit, and Green was a little bit off balance, which I felt made the fall look more dramatic than it really was. Now, there was some pushing there, which is why I did call the foul, but that's also why, while I considered a yellow card and was watching for pushes, the fact that he was off balance like that and he fell more dramatically because of it, I downgraded it. I think you could go ahead and give the yellow here, but I also think it's okay not to. Let us know in the comments if you disagree, if I should have definitely given a yellow there, but that's how we called it, and we're going to score it as a correct decision.
For real.
Less than 30 seconds later, we've got a pretty straightforward trip. We're looking at the green player here who's trying to attack. He's got the ball at his feet, and as he comes through, just right there, he gets clipped on the foot, goes straight down. Very, very easy call, and call that right away. Minute later, we've got a play here where a green player steps on a black player's foot, where the ball is over here, but it's going to get kicked back to this black player here, and then right behind him, Green's coming through, trying to steal this ball, and then in the process, he just steps on his foot there, kind of gets him as he goes by. So go ahead and call that and grant the direct free kick for the black team. Only about 20 seconds later, we've got a charge that we called here. So the ball is getting kicked back to the green player here. Green player passes it up, and then this black player comes in and just goes through him after the ball's away. So pretty easy, straightforward call. Call that and give them a direct free kick from there. Couple minutes later, we've got black on the attack here. They are in the penalty area, and so we're watching the balls right here. And then as the ball comes through, he's trying to get through, and then he goes down as you see the ball squirt out the back end, and you actually see there's some players like, oh, hey, there should be a penalty kick. Of course, they want the kick in order to try to, start their comeback here. If we watch this, what I saw in the field is that this green player right here, he actually comes through behind and kicks this ball forward, which is why the ball squirts out and heads out at a good speed going up. But he got the ball, and then there was some contact afterwards. I didn't think it was illegal contact afterwards, so definitely not enough for a penalty kick, and we let that play. Now, Black was upset, they're behind, looking for that to come back. That ends up playing into their psyche, I think, some as the game goes on, but I don't see anything about this call that's wrong here. All right, so Katie's got dinner here now. She might be eating while we're recording, so she's gonna
Word.
go crazy. But we need to keep recording, and she's got a busy schedule,
Got a very busy schedule to keep.
so go wild over there.
Mm-hmm.
All right. A couple minutes later in the match, we've got a play here that ends up in a yellow card. Watching the balls here in the middle of the screen, number 23 Black's going for it and competing with this green player here. So right there, he knocks that number 2 down, and then I come in and give him a yellow card. If we go back and watch this in slow motion, what I really saw was that right there, he basically had a chance to go at the ball and instead decided to go and push that player. So he went out of his way off the ball to go push him down. I do decide to come in and give him a card. Now, what's funny is he ends up complaining because this green player comes in, kicks the ball away, and then does give him a little extra arm there, a little bit defending his own player. Certainly not enough for me to call something there, especially after he just gave that hard hit to his teammate. But, it's just funny. He's complaining about, well, why aren't you? He just hit me like right after he totally cleared a kid out, right? So a little bit
Hypocrisy.
of hypocrisy gets you a little bit here, but about 3 minutes go by, and in the meantime, Green has scored another goal, so they're now winning 4-0. Now, a few minutes later here, Green is on the attack again, and they get fouled in the box here. So let's watch it. Right here, the ball is coming in. This Green player kicks it in, and then as he tries to go after it, right there, this player comes in, gets him on the ankle.
Very clearly trips him.
It's funny because the defense here is all like, what? And I think if we listen to the audio, we'll actually hear a few of them say, what? He got all ball.
No, really.
If we go back to the moment that this actually happened, I mean, that ball was well away before he even sticks his foot out. So definitely a penalty kick, no doubt about it. And they end up getting that penalty kick. So after this, they end up scoring that penalty kick. So it's a couple more goals that they've gotten just in the last couple of minutes. They've extended their lead all the way out to 5-0. Green's solidly in control. Black has been playing kind of rough throughout this game, but they've also had a few opportunities. So I was a little bit surprised the score was this lopsided, and we'll actually see that switch a little bit as they actually start a comeback after this. So let's keep going. Keeping going in this game, we're going to see a foul here that I call where we start to actually get quite a bit more noise from the other sideline. Here, Green's on the attack. They've got the ball. This Black defender is here. He's trying to dribble past him, and Black actually does kick that ball away, but in the process, he shoves the player on his way down with an arm extension. The sideline started saying, hey, he got the ball. He got the ball. Well, that wasn't what I called. I called that he
It doesn't
pushed him
really
down,
matter when you're
right?
when you're pushing someone.
Right. So this is an example of yes, you can get the ball, but if you initiate illegal contact afterwards, then it's still a foul. About 5 minutes go by before we've got our next decision here. Black is on the attack here, and right there is the stumble, and you can see him complain that he wants a foul. But if we play this in slow motion, we see right there, Green actually does a slide tackle, gets the ball, and then he initiates the contact over his ankle. So it was a good slide tackle, good defense by the Green team. Plus, his teammate ends up getting a fairly decent shot on goal here immediately after. So even if I had thought it was a foul, I probably would have still played advantage, but it wasn't a foul, and it's the right decision.
Our next decision is going to be an offside call. Right here is the moment of decision, and we can see that this player is a few feet offside. So when we continue the play, We call the offside, and that is the correct decision in this case.
So this game goes by several minutes without any decisions, but Black did rattle off two really quick goals in rapid succession. So within just a couple of minutes, they closed it from a 5-0 game to a 5-2 game. Still a big difference, but when they start rattling off goals that quickly, you start to wonder what might happen. So the temperature starts going up some. It was already, a physical game, but then this just adds to it quite a bit. On the far side of the field here, we're going to see Black on the attack, and the ball's here. These two players, Black is closest to his, Green's furthest away. And as he comes by here, the green player kind of shoves the black. It's hard to see from this angle. This is kind of what I talk about when we say sometimes angles you can't really see what happens between them. Where I'm on the field, I still don't have a perfect angle on this, but I've got a better angle than the camera, so I see the arm extension. I grant Black a direct free kick from just outside of the penalty area. This was an important one because Black actually ends up scoring a goal off of this. So now they've closed it from a 5-0 game to a 5-3 game in just like 5 or 6 minutes. Okay, now we're getting into the final 10 minutes of this match here, and we've got Black on the attack again. Again, they're trying to complete what would be an amazing comeback if they're able to complete it. So the ball's over here, Black's got it, but as it bounces around there, he gets a little bit frustrated when this green defender comes in and gets position on him, and then he shoves him on the way by.
No, nothing really controversial
Yeah,
about that at all.
yeah.
Yeah.
Go
So
ahead.
this is the good decision going for green.
And then you end up seeing, like, I don't know why this guy's like complaining. We also heard some noise from the sideline. This kid over here ends up like bouncing the ball hard on the ground because he's frustrated. Like,
Oh
but
no, your team fouls and
yeah,
you call a foul?
yeah, definitely the right call though. After that call for the push, which we reviewed just a moment ago and clearly saw that it was actually a foul, the sideline over here was being pretty loud. And Katie, I think they were in your ear, weren't they?
Oh yeah. So these parents right here, they were shouting things at him. It was like, "Well, you're calling that for them, but you never call this stuff for us? That's just ridiculous." And then there were like also a few parents over on this side. They were like under a shade tent, and then they were going, "Oh, they're doing a great job going against the referees as well." And the coach was also saying stuff like, "Don't worry, guys, I'll fix it. I'll file a complaint." And so then I call him over to like tell him like what's going on the sideline and maybe that like there should be like a sideline warning for these people because of the stuff that they've been saying. So he hears me out and then he goes and talks to the coach about it and was like, "Oh, hey, your sideline's getting a bit out of hand. Like, can we control them?" And was the coach like, "Well, instead of controlling the sideline, you should focus on this. You should focus on this
He was basically
instead."
wanting to talk about everything except for talking to his sideline.
Because he wasn't going to be willing to talk to his sideline about it, which is required by the coach if we ask them, then we gave him a yellow card, along with the fact that he was going like, "What about this?" Which is more dissent. So
Yeah.
this is a good call for a yellow card.
So we're getting into the final minutes of this game, just a couple of decisions left. And we've got a foul here when Black is on the attack again, just outside of the penalty area. So right here, we see this Black player go down. I'm going to replay it. And then we're looking at this player right here. Now, because there's other players in the way and it's a melee of people, you can't really see it well, but right there, his back leg goes up, brought his leg through him, so he goes down. I call that immediately and grant them a direct free kick from just outside the penalty area. Our final call of this match happens in the 68th minute. Here, Green is on the attack, and right there, Green's kind of coming through, makes a pass. This player gets it, and then 66 really pushes him down to get him off the ball. Right there, you see his arm extend, and then he tries to play the ball after. So, pretty straightforward for me. I call it. We get quite a bit of noise from the sideline on that one, but definitely no doubt in my mind that that's the call. I even go and I talk to the kid about, hey, look, we're in the final minutes. Like, there's no need for that. So, didn't think it was quite enough for a yellow there, but definitely with the discussion. So,
That ended up being the final decision of the match. Now, usually this is when we'd be going into decisions and deductions, but there was an interesting thing that happened right after this game ended with the Placer team coach.
So for ending the game, I do the normal mechanics. I turn, I look at the center circle, I point the center circle, and then right here, this black player, while my back is to him, he goes ahead and he kicks this ball away. Right. So really no need for that there. The whistle's already been blown. Everybody knows it's dead. He's just kind of doing a frustration kick here. So switching to panoramic mode because the camera doesn't capture what the most interesting stuff that happens here. So again, this player is kicking the ball away. I'm looking the opposite direction at the center circle. This ball gets kicked. And then right here, he's walking back. And then this player says something to number 23. And so you see him, like he hears it. He looks at that player and like, what? I was looking the other way. I didn't hear anything. I'm making my final notes about the end of the game. And then right here, this number 23, he walks up to me and he starts talking to me. And then he starts walking away, and I kind of, hold my hand out like, let's talk about what was actually said here. So, number 23, he comes up to me and says, "Hey, ref, he called me an a hole." Now,
I'm not censored.
I said, I didn't hear him say that, but dude, you need to ask yourself, are you one? And he said, "Oh, no." And then I said, dude, then I wouldn't worry too much about it because don't let it bother you. That's actually exactly the same thing that I would say to my own kids if somebody
This is
called
one.
them.
Like, yeah, that is definitely something he would say to my face if I came up to him and was like, "Dude, you like to call me an a-hole," when he didn't hear it. It's like,
Well, you can't let what other people say about you, like particularly when they're wrong. So that's something I believe strongly in. And maybe it's why we enjoy refereeing because we don't let what people call us or say about us bother us. But
I know I'm a very good and humble AR, no matter how much people says I'm not.
so he ends up going over after the match and he goes and runs to his coach and reports what just happened. And we got to remember this team was very upset with us. They were upset with how the game went. They go through the line where they're all shaking hands. I want to give some credit to the Granite Bay coach. He comes in here. He goes out of his way to be a good sport to the Placer team, even though they've been pretty rough with his team. Then we see that the coach comes over with number 23 on his arm. He basically comes up and says, "My player here, he just reported that you said something terrible to him, and I want to know what you just said." So I basically just repeated what we said here. I said, "Hey," he came up to me and he said, "Ref, the player called me an a hole." And I said, "Coach, I told him that I didn't hear that, but that he should ask himself, is he one? And if he's not, then he shouldn't be too worried about it." And then the coach gets really, really agitated and he starts telling me, like, that is completely inappropriate for you to say to a kid. And then I explained to him, hey, look, that's exactly what I would say to my own kid, which Katie clearly,
Yeah,
yeah.
he
Like,
would.
and I really feel like kids need to learn, that they can't let what other people say about them affect how they feel about themselves. And I can't call a foul for something that I didn't even hear. So after I do kind of explain that, kids need to learn to let things roll off their back, he starts, pointing his finger at me and saying, "That's not your job to teach them. That's my job as their coach and their parents." I'm like, dude,
Not doing a
okay.
good job at it.
Like, okay, but fine. Like, he's just really, really agitated. If I flash forward, this goes on for several seconds. So then I ask him, "Hey, coach, I need you to sign the game card." He rips it out of my hands and then he ends up what I can only describe as a violent signature, so much that he ripped several holes in the paper and then he just threw it back at me. And in the process of throwing it back at me, he caused me to kind of drop everything else that I was holding. So I end up, having to pick that stuff up. I mean, it wasn't like I was hit or assaulted. He just kind of slapped my hand a little bit, but it was
I assaulted the
just
coach.
kind of interesting. Yeah, and I think at one point, didn't he complain that you had
Assaulted a coach. You don't understand. I assaulted that man and I feel so bad. You know what I did? I was like walking back and he was on the line shouting, going like, "Oh my God, that's such a bad call." Like right on the line. And so I go, "Coach, back up." It's like, I need to get past. I can't be an amazing AR if I'm not on the line on the second to last defender, you know? He literally ignores me, probably because he's shouting so much that he can only hear his own voice. And then like I take like a mini step and then like I kind of shoulder into him because he's in my space. He needs to back up. And so then he goes, "What? You touched me." And I'm like, there wouldn't be anything to touch if you weren't in my space. Like, and so then I assaulted him in that day by taking over my own space that he shouldn't even been in the first place by slightly grazing his arm.
So headline:
A grown
15-year-old
man
girl.
assaulted by a 5'4", 15-year-old 120 pounds compared to his 200. Yes, sir, you were assaulted.
As you can tell, this whole thing was just lively. Now there was more even after this because I think Amir and maybe Katie, you heard him say that he was going to
Yeah.
file a complaint, right? So Amir suggested that I go ahead and also file a report and get my side of the story on record. So I did go ahead and do that. NorCal was the governing body that this game was played under. I ended up writing up a report. I sent it to the referee assigner. I submitted it with my game report and I submitted an incident report to NorCal. I got a call the next day from the assigner who basically came back and said that the coach wanted to withdraw any of his comments because he didn't want it to turn into something else. And then they asked, "Well, am I willing to withdraw my comments?" And I said, "Look, yeah, fine, you know." And it was an
I
emotional
think
moment.
that this was a bad decision on his part because, like, the spectators were pretty bad to the point where I needed to call him over
Yeah.
to talk about that. And then the coach was like yelling on the line at some points, along with getting a yellow card for dissent, which isn't really something that should happen during a game. So I think that even if he like sleeps on it and apologizes for it, that doesn't mean that like his spectators slept on it or apologized for it. It doesn't mean that he actually means it and just doesn't want to get like in trouble with NorCal. So I think it would have been a better decision to let it stand because what he did was not okay.
Yeah, so let us know in the comments what you think. Should we have let our, should we tried to escalate that more? Should we maybe have, tried to take more action here at the end of the game? Was I out of line for what I said to the kid? Let us know what you think in the comments. But let's see how we did score wise.
So with one deduction and 24 decisions, that gives us a Sapper score of 95.8. That's our first great game, that
That
is.
is above 95%. It's a great game category, and it is the first one on the channel. And a
First
great,
one,
we've been
go!
close. We've been close. High five, up high.
That's what we like to see.
So this was interesting, definitely exciting the way that Black worked to come back and make it lively, but it was also a very physical game and definitely some lively antics there at the very end that made it noteworthy. So, anyway, join us back here next Friday for our next upload. I'm Scott,
I'm Katie.
and we'll see
See
you
you out
out on
on
the
the
pitch.
pitch. It's not like we're getting demonetized because we're not monetized in the first place. So okay, I'm gonna go get some raspberries and then I'll be back because I want some kind of bit more healthy than chips.
Okay.
Got something more healthy, guys.
You got your raspberries now. Go for the raspberries. You're a raspberry fiend,
I'm a raspberry fiend,
but
but hit some with plates.
it doesn't hit him with the cleats. Look, his foot is back here. His foot is underneath. It basically kicks him in the balls.
Oh,
It doesn't.
that's kind of funny.
Wasn't funny for him.
That's funny for me.
Those are W raspberries.
There are W raspberries.
Costco has the best raspberries. And they're not even
Costco sponsor us.
they're not even
Costco
sponsoring us.
sponsor.
Costco, Costco.
Costco, come on.
We need like a Patreon
We
that
need like the sponsor here.
yeah.
I've actually got some upper arm muscle.
Get that.
Oh, this is so much improvement. I need to retire these guys, so I'm eating a bit too much of them. I'm hungry. Okay.
I'm just curious.
All right. I ran into him too. I assaulted that man. Did you know that me, you 15-year-old girl,
Assaulted.
120 pounds, assaulted that man? You violated Percy Jackson's first rule, Dad.
What was that?
His first rule is never say that stuff is going well because it will inevitably end poorly. Wait, let's just make sure that I'm not making this up. Like, let's look it up. What? No! No, I've been lied to. I've gaslighted myself. No, 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 no. I refuse to believe that this is true. I will reread the entire series, the entire spin-off series, so I can find it. You're just scratching your bum.
I just did the fat man taking my shirt.
Damn, I've got games, Dad. I got games. Uh-huh. And basketball season hasn't even started yet. Now, the better question is, who am I compatible to? W. That flamethrowers, good choice, good taste. I think that's the food.
Tell your mom to come and make an appearance.
Hello, madre. Gracias, mi madre. I'll like take bites. What? I'll move this live now.
Yes. How's your lasagna?